Hey everybody, Qroo here. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the importance of including prepositions with verbs on your word list so you use the verbs correctly. And I'm not talking about every single verb. For example, you might just have hablar, to speak. That's fine. But if you have a Spanish verb that when you're putting it in a sentence is going to use a preposition that's different from English, then you want to make sure that you put it in so you use it correctly. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. To fall in love in Spanish is enamorarse, enamorarse. And what it really means is to become enamored. So typically what students do is they're like, oh, in my word list, to fall in love, enamorarse. And when they make sentences, they'll often say things like, me enamoré con alguien. I fell in love with someone, because that's what we say in English. And even if we think of it as to become enamored with someone, we're still popping in that con. So to avoid this problem, you should learn it as enamorarse de, to fall in love with. Right on your word list, always with de. Back when I was new at Spanish and I was creating my own word lists, I would often include an example as well. It just kind of, drove it home. Like, hace más de 20 años me enamoré de Linda. More than 20 years ago, I fell in love with Linda. Just something like that to help you remember. Now, you don't have to use my example because, if you're with somebody else and they see your example, you're probably going to have a fight, but something along those lines. Including the preposition with the verb is going to help you in other ways also, because many verbs can be converted into adjectives using the past participle. That's the ending with ido or ado, okay? You're still going to be using that exact same preposition in those cases. For example, if I want to say, I'm in love, I would say, estoy enamorado. See, enamorado came from enamorar, right? Little ado ending. But if I want to say I'm in love with Linda, I'm going to be using that de again. Estoy enamorado de Linda. Not con Linda, de Linda. Since we're talking about building word lists today, I'm going to help you build yours. And I'm going to give you some more Spanish verbs that use a preposition that's different from English. All right? First one on our list is soñar con, to dream about something or someone. So in Spanish, you dream with them. Anoche soñé con mi papá. Last night, I dreamt of my father. My wife's originally from Colombia, and she's been in the US since she was about 10 years old, but she still says things like, hey, last night I dreamt with my grandfather. And I'm like, you didn't dream with your grandfather, you dreamt of your grandfather. Prepositions are important, folks. Next one on our list is contar con, to count on someone or something. Puedes contar conmigo. You can count on me, or literally, you can count with me. Contar con can also mean to have. For example, ese hotel cuenta con más de 200 habitaciones. That hotel has more than 200 rooms. Next one on our list is depender de, to depend on. But in Spanish, you kind of depend of or from, however you want to think of it. El éxito depende de ti. Success depends on you. No estoy seguro de lo que haré. Depende de lo que me diga mi jefe mañana. I'm not sure what I'll do. It depends on what my boss tells me tomorrow. That was a long one, right? Just trying to keep things interesting here. Now, before I move on, take a look at that diga there, okay? Depende de lo que me diga, right there. That is in the subjunctive mood. I talk about the subjunctive a lot because it is so important in Spanish. And depende de many times will trigger the subjunctive. I'll be covering that in more detail in another video that I'm going to do for the subjunctive triggers series. And I'll be focusing on depende de, dependiendo de, things like that. So let's get back on track here. Our next one on our list is oler a, to smell like. Huele a rosas. It smells like roses. Literally, it smells two roses. When my mother-in-law from Colombia speaks English, a lot of times she uses a literal translation with this particular construction, and she'll say something like, the kitchen smells to cinnamon. And I'm like cinnamon, like cinnamon. Let's go ahead and use that as our example, okay? La cocina huele a canela. The kitchen smells like cinnamon. But literally, the kitchen smells to cinnamon. The next one on our list is saber a, to taste like. Now I know right away you're like, I thought saber meant to know. It does mean to know, but when you use it with a, it means to taste like. Esta bebida sabe a fresa. This drink tastes like strawberry. The next one on our list is ayudar a, to help someone do something. Los chicos me ayudaron a lavar el coche. The kids helped me wash the car. Ayudé a Linda a lavar la ropa. I helped Linda wash the clothes. A lot of washing today, huh? The next one is despedirse de, to say goodbye to someone. Always include that de, right? Mi primo se despidió de nosotros antes de subir al avión. My cousin said goodbye to us before boarding the plane. Me voy de viaje mañana, así que tengo que despedirme de mi familia hoy. I'm leaving on a trip tomorrow, so I have to say goodbye to my family today. The next one on our list is insistir en, to insist on. Now I know en and on mean the same thing, so you're probably like, Paul, why is this even on our list? Well, it's always going to use that en even when we wouldn't quite translate it in English. That's why I added to the list. Now sometimes it's in there where you'd expect it to be, right? Mi perro siempre insiste en despertarme temprano. My dog always insists on waking me up early. In that sentence, you probably wouldn't forget the en because it's close to English. But in this one, you might. I'm going to give you the English first. My wife insists that we go on vacation. And now the Spanish. Mi mujer, or mi esposa, whichever you like, insiste en que nos vayamos de vacaciones. Insiste en que. That en is still there. So it's literally like, my wife insists on that we go off on vacation. That en you might forget, and that's why it's on the word list, folks. Another thing I want to point out about that sample sentence is take a look at what comes after insiste en que. Nos vayamos. That is in the subjunctive, the present subjunctive. Insistir en que is a trigger for the subjunctive. It'll use the subjunctive every single time. So on my word list, I would have insistir en que plus subjunctive. Next one on our list is pensar en, to think about. Necesito un poco de tiempo para pensar en lo que me has dicho. I need a little time to think about what you've said to me. No puedo dejar de pensar en esa película que vi anoche. I can't stop thinking about the movie I watched last night. I just want to draw your attention in that sample to dejar de pensar, right? Dejar de is another great one, so let's just get into that. Dejar de is to stop doing something, and you can use this all the time. I love this one. Dejó de llover hace 5 minutos. It stopped raining 5 minutes ago. Es hora de dejar de culpar a los demás y asumir la responsabilidad de nuestros actos. It's time to stop blaming others and take responsibility for our actions. It'd be great if more people did that, wouldn't it? You know, I could keep listing verbs and with their prepositions, but I think I've given you enough new vocabulary for one day, and besides, I know you folks hate long videos. But if you'd like to see a part 2 to this video where I give you more verbs with their prepositions, you like this type of format, just let me know in the comments section of the video. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, hasta luego.